boy! No! Why? Why? Do you really hate me that bad?
Hello everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Trista and welcome back to my channel. Now, I'm going to talk about the aftermath of Donald Trump becoming the 47th president of the United States. And we are also going to talk about the 4B movement. Have you ever heard of the 4B movement? If not, stay tuned and we're going to talk about it. If this is your first time, welcome. Typically on my channel, what I love to do is talk about give a biblical perspective on society's lies. And if this is something that you like to do, please stay, comment, and subscribe. Like this channel or like this video and let me know in the comment section below, and let's get started. Okay, so 48 hours of Donald Trump becoming president, and this is some of the things that he has already accomplished. He had a call with Putin and ended Russia and the Russia-Ukraine war. He ended that. He called a ceasefire in Iran. Hamas calls for immediate end to war. And China hopes for peaceful coexistence with America. And Susie Wiles, I believe, has just been announced as being the White House Chief of Staff. And this is the first woman to ever hold a position like that in the White House. So, I mean, not even 48 hours. He hasn't even gotten into the White House yet. And this is already so many things, five major things Donald Trump has already accomplished. Camala Harris was vice president already. And what has happened? If you know the answer, let me know in the comment section below. But I wanted to talk about just a lot of things right now, but I wanted to get started with what a lot of news outlets are basically asking: what was wrong with the Democrats and why did Kamala Harris lose? First of all, we know people that follow my channel are typically Christians, people that you guys have a good head on your shoulders, you believe in Jesus Christ, you are based on logic, okay? But we know, some of us that have been paying attention know why the Democrats have lost and why there has been such a huge, landslide of Republicans just coming out and showing out basically their love for country. And so here is The View talking about why they believe that the Democrats lost. Take a look at this.
I think she ran this race admirably. I think the greatest politician of all time would have struggled to, in 3.5 months, overcome somebody who's been running for a decade. I do think that in this post-mortem that needs to happen with Democrats, they need to think about, why wasn't she given more lead time? Why didn't Biden give her 6 months or a year to run? But there's bigger pictures. That's a micro. There are some macro issues here. The fact that the nation elected somebody like Donald Trump, who even people who voted for him, I talked to so many of these people, will say, I don't like him. I don't like the things he says, but I felt like my life was better under him. I think that a lot of Democrats missed the moment. They were looking at the micro and not the macro.
Do you think the Republicans missed the moment? What about a post-mortem on the Republican Party with the Trump Party?
They just swept, though. I've been talking about what I'd like to see from the Republican Party.
They won, but they're morally bankrupt.
But America just gave them. So let me just make my point here. So you have people talking about, well, how did he win Michigan? Because Democrats are saying, oh, she should have talked more about Gaza. No, union halls were empty. Dearborn went for Donald Trump. This is not about a micro issue like Gaza. It's people saying the cost of living is too high. The wages are too low. My life felt better under him. And I know what we'll say. Well, Goldman Sachs says the economy will do better under her. The analysts at UPenn and Wharton.
We'll see.
Nobody who is struggling to make ends meet at the table, like how am I going to pay this bill, cares what Wharton professors say about the economy.
With misinformation.
And just one more thing I want to say. This issue of abortion, which I hope we can unpack more, there are a lot of women who cared about abortion, but they were in states like Pennsylvania where they don't have an ultra-restrictive abortion law. They were voting more because they're like pocketbook pocketbook issues matter more than if a woman in Alabama is able to get an
But they're going to do worse under a Trump administration. The only people that are going to do well are the millionaires and the billionaires.
And finally, we talk a lot about these different demographics and these assumptions of where they're going to go. Latinos in Texas, a district that's 97% Latino, went 75 percentage points for Donald Trump. Why?
Misogyny.
It's on the border.
It's
the border
misogyny.
crisis is on their doorstep. And they were begging people to care about it for years. We need to take some lessons.
That's what that was.
The lessons are not.
Knock. Who's there? Oh my gosh, it's Whoopi.
I would be sorry.
So I love that Alyssa Griffin, the one that was speaking on The View, gave some really excellent points that I think the Democratic Party or anyone that runs next time from the Democratic Party should pay attention to, because even while she was talking, you can see just the four others, even Whoopi Goldberg and all the other ladies on The View were very upset. You should just see them and look at Sunny just like, well, it's the billionaires, it's the millionaires and the billionaires. No, it's not. It's the fact that the Democrats, Kamala Harris, was running on how bad Donald Trump is. Instead of talking about, Kamala Harris is not running on points on what the people are talking about. What she's running on is just basically saying how bad Donald Trump is. She brought out such an excellent point. And then even Whoopi Goldberg goes on to say that, you know, the reason why you can't afford groceries and you can't afford gas prices, this is what Whoopi Goldberg goes on to say, is that it's not Biden or Harris administration. It is the owners of the grocery store, the owners of the gas station. Those are the people that are raising the prices. It's not because of the Biden and Harris. And then she goes on to make such great points that I thought it was just excellent of her to just talk about that, because typically most of the time, like 95% of the time, she agrees with these ladies and is always in agreement with them. But I'm so glad she was able to open up her mouth and say something logically of what is actually law, why Kamala Harris lost. And then I think the most recent episode of The View, Stephen A. Smith goes on to say on The View that Kamala Harris hurt her own campaign. It took a long time for her to actually go on these podcasts or go on these interviews. Everybody was asking, first of all, what were her policies? When is she going to do an interview? Why hasn't anybody done any kickback or challenge her in these interviews? A lot of the mainstream media have been very soft when it comes to these interviews with her, and everybody else have been very disrespectful to Donald Trump. Interview him and be able to talk about harsh issues, where with Kamala Harris it was a totally different story. Now I want to go on and start talking about the 4B movement. Now, 4B means this. It came from South Korea, and it was a whole movement because there was an incident that happened in South Korea of a man that basically killed a woman there. And then part of the reaction of the women there was to not date men, not have babies, not get married, or even have birth, or even have sex, And so that was their retaliation of this whole movement. And so this movement here in the United States started around, I believe, when Trump ran the first time, and it started to become very popular in 2019. Now, it started to become popular again on TikTok because of the fact that Trump now is president. And so people are leaving the country, number one, and they are retaliating by not dating, not marrying, not having babies, or having sex. And so this is their way of, I guess, trying to retaliate. And in my personal opinion, thank you. As a Christian, who wants to go out there? As a Christian, my values is have sex when you get married, and when you are married, that's when you have babies and different things like that, okay? But or any liberals that's out there, they are choosing to participate in this movement. And so take a look at some of these videos of women talking about leaving the country, leaving the United States to go live in other countries. And some of these women just, I mean, flipping out. The first clip that you guys just seen in the beginning of my video was that woman flipping out. And that is just some of the videos that I'm about to show you. Take a look at this.
Camala Harris did not lose this election because she's a woman. She lost this election because there were American families sitting there telling her how they couldn't afford to put food in their fridge, and her solution was to bring out Meg Thee Stallion to twerk on stage alongside just about every single one of P. Diddy's friends to endorse her. She lost this election because there were Americans who lost everything in an absolutely horrific hurricane, and she sat there telling them that $750 should be enough for them if they even qualify, while simultaneously funding illegals staying in five-star hotels in New York City, receiving 3 meals a day provided to them by taxpayer dollars. She lost this election because she sat there talking about how anti-racism she was, while simultaneously blaming straight white men for just about every single problem this country has. Isn't it funny that if you demonize a group of people long enough for merely existing, they might not want to vote for you? American politics has changed forever. You will no longer be able to sit there and bully Americans into voting for you. It won't work. Unfortunately, our politicians on both sides seem to forget that they are actually public servants. They answer to the public, not the other way around. And they need to get behind that. They need to understand that, and they need to change and reform their policies to fit what the public is saying, or they will get left in the dust, as Kamala learned the hard way yesterday.
Here are some of the easiest ways to leave the country as an American. Sorry guys, I simply cannot smile at the moment. It's been a long 24 hours. If you're under 30, consider the Australia or New Zealand working holiday visa. Granted, this is a temporary fix, but Australia allows American citizens up to 3 years on a working holiday, and New Zealand offers 1. So that could realistically get you through the next 4. These visas are both really easy to apply for. They cost around $450. I personally did a year in Australia. I have a lot of videos about that. I'm happy to tag you if you need more info. If you have a way to make an income online, consider a digital nomad visa. Lots of different countries offer this. It's typically a 1-year stay. For this option, I would look into countries like Portugal, Costa Rica, or Albania. Another option you can consider is teaching English in another country. Now, granted, this is going to be a lot easier if you do have a college degree, but there are some countries that allow you to work as an English teacher without a degree. Just get your TOEFL certificate online, and typically just takes a few weeks to complete that. And if you don't have a degree, I would recommend looking into countries in Southeast Asia or Eastern Europe. Another option is looking into opportunities based on your heritage. If you have grandparents that came from somewhere that is not America, you can look into that country and see what kind of visa or residency programs they offer. For example, I know a lot of us have Irish heritage. If you have a grandparent who is an Irish citizen, you can look into getting residency that way. Lastly, if you have a specialized skill, look up where that skill might be at a deficit around the world. For example, I know Canada is willing to sponsor for tech or healthcare typically. Australia and New Zealand are always looking for teachers and nurses, and Denmark and Germany both really value IT. I personally am working diligently on my exit plan. Stay safe out there, guys.
All I have to say is good luck getting laid. Especially in Florida, because me and my girlies are participating in the 4B movement. That's my next.
To be honest, I was very blindsided by the results this morning. I've decided that cigarettes don't count today, and I honestly might go get a tattoo. But I also have decided that for the next 4 years, I am going to abstain from schmex with men. And funny enough, I actually just broke up with my boyfriend a handful of days before the election, and it had nothing to do with the anticipation of Donald Trump winning this election. It had everything to do with problems within our relationship and massive differences between who we were as people, which was unfortunate and sad. I wish him well, though. But yeah, as a woman, my bodily autonomy matters, and this is my way to exercise sovereignty over that. So I highly encourage any other women that are single and care about progressing women's rights and still fighting for our bodily autonomy to do the same. Delete your dating apps, because we can come together in community, and if you need somebody to cuddle or hold your hand or give you a kiss, I bet you one of your girlfriends would do it, okay? And you don't even have to really be gay, okay? It's okay to have a lot of platonic love for the next 4 years. I think we can look to South Korea and the 4B movement as a point of inspiration for us.
Okay, guys, so that is just some of the examples of a lot of women just trying to retaliate and disagree with the election. And with the next 4 years, they are going to refrain from sex, refrain from getting married, refrain from giving birth, and what's the other one? I guess refrain from having kids, because this is how they are retaliating against what has happened. So the next thing that I wanted to just end by saying this, that the recent stats for this election was just astonishing to me. The fact that only 91% of Black women are still voting Democrat. And at first this was actually very disappointing to me, but at the same time this was motivating, because this will continue to push me to continue to spread the word and spread the truth that still 91% of women are still voting Democrat. And even if you may be a Black woman and still believe in, let's just say you're not Christian and you believe in pro-choice, the fact that this woman, Camala Harris, was completely just very far left, and the fact that she wants to, at the time of birth, delete a child at the time of birth. I'm just like, how can you just sit with that and be okay and vote for something like that? That is when you should be able to start rebelling against what some of these politicians are trying to do, instead of listening to the people. I just wanted to showcase this stat, and the fact that a lot of people are still just, upset, and, they're using this as a statistics to show that, 60% of white men and 53% of white women voted Republican, but at the same time, that's more than half in both male and female. And then for the for the Black men and the Black women, just exceedingly, especially Black women, just 91%. 91%. That is just crazy to me. And then Latino women and Latino men, 43% and 60%. It just, honestly, it just shows me that the Latino men, 55 voted Republican. It's just more than half are waking up. And then all the other races is still pretty, still the same when it comes to Democrat. 48% in other races and 46% in Republicans. So anyway, I just wanted to take a look at that and just talk about that a little bit. Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to comment and subscribe. And I want to know your thoughts. I just did a live as well. Just take a look at my latest live, and then you can get to know me a little bit more on my live. But I'm thinking about going live a little bit more often. And so before I start to make a schedule of the live, I'm just going to see how it does. It's been doing pretty well so far. And so just stay on the lookout for those. And don't forget to take a look at my my biblical quiz on my community page. There's a whole bunch of information that I put on there as well. Take a look at that. And I love to do and talk to you guys when it comes to the biblical quizzes, because I do a lot of tricks on there as well, and to see if you on top of your Bible knowledge. Okay, so let me know in the comments below some more information. Let me get to know you. Let me know where you are watching from. I love to take a look at that and just talk more with you guys. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and tune into my next video. God bless.